Big drop-offs are intimidating, there's no doubt about that. But you know what? They really aren't any harder than doing small ones. You just need to get them right, because you know what? It's a long way down. Before I throw myself off this drop-off, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we publish videos every day of the week, including skills videos just like this one. Don't go too big too soon. Like I already said, it's the same skill from going from 1 foot up to massive, so make sure you've got the right skills first. And it's all about getting the bike to land in the right spot. So where the sweet spot is in landing is going to be the smoothest, and also matching the angle of the bike to that landing is going to be the best way of doing it. Hopefully, if you're somewhere where they've got properly built drop-offs, then as you do get bigger, then the landings will also get bigger. So nail the small ones first before you go to the bigger, scarier ones with bigger consequences. But definitely don't go to the really scary, massive ones. If you go too big and land too back wheel first, it will get much, much worse on the bigger drops. I would say don't underestimate the sort of mental side of doing bigger drop-offs. Being nervous is okay, but if you're really scared and it's way outside of your comfort zone, way bigger than you've done anything before, then I would stop, like I say, get the small ones nailed. And somewhere like this is perfect, where they're kind of exactly the same style drop-off, they just size up each time. It's a really good place to learn how to do bigger drops. I'll always want to stop and get off my bike to check out a drop off, mainly because I want to see what it's going to look like when I get there, so that I'm not just guessing, and when I get here I'm all a bit, you know, fresh to it. And that's when I do get scared, if I, you know, literally showing up and I've never seen what it's going to look like before. I'll also from here have a really good guess of how fast I need to go. I can see that this drop off is quite tall, and I don't have to go a long way to get to the landing, so I would say little more than walking pace to get off the end of here. Like I've said with all my drop-off skills videos, the faster you go, the easier it is, because you have to kind of do less for manual. But obviously if you overshoot, this drop-off's going to be bad. So also drop-offs are almost always blind until the last minute, so I can't see the landing until I'm sort of 3 foot away from going off the end of it. So you want to make sure you have a really good guess at your speed. Speed is your friend, sort of. So you always want to try and be landing in that sweet spot. This drop off, good landing, but I see it's kind of a foot past the top where it steepens up a little bit. So I want to get there at the right angle. So I'm kind of nosing my bike in, 'cause it's a big, fairly steep landing. So you're matching the angle, but you want your front wheel kind of to land slightly before your back. So if you're landing two wheels at the same time, the front wheel's then landing quite a long way down, if you see what I mean. So you're nosing it in, and I want to come in with a reasonable amount of speed, because there is a decent amount of gap to this. If you're going too slow and then have to rely on that sort of manual, then you're probably not going to get the distance. So I'll come in quick, and if I have to, I can even squash off the top a little bit. So get low, push the bike down to the ground if I think I'm going too fast. The landing on the sweet spot is smooth. When we're talking about drop-offs to flat, speed kind of doesn't really matter. It's going to be a heavy landing, whatever. Sometimes it can take a little bit of the sting off, so you're not just slapping down. But when you're talking, you know, over, I don't know, head height to flat, it starts to get really, really rough. That's where I find most big drop-offs in bike parks have decent landings too. The most common mistakes when it comes to drop-offs are, number one, people going sideways in the air. Now, I'll always go back to practicing the manual and check out the GMBN how to manual videos. It's all about staying central on the bike. And then when it comes to drop-offs, like I say, hopefully you're going kind of over the speed you're going to need a manual, especially for a drop-off this big. If it goes wrong in the air, it's often because people have pulled with their arms and it'll go slightly one way or the other. Sometimes it's down to wind as well, so definitely on something this size, I'll check out the branches. It's a little bit gusty today, but nothing too much. I know that I'm only gonna be in the air for half a second probably, so probably not enough time with this wind to send my front wheel one way or the other. The next big mistake is going too fast. It can be really tempting with a drop this big, because you know if you go too slow, your front wheel's gonna just start dropping. However, if you go too fast off this and overshoot the landing, you're already making a big drop, massive, maybe even too big. It's gonna be a super heavy landing. You don't want to do that. Well, the massive drop is scary enough just standing on it, but unfortunately it's closed because the wood is all rotten. But fortunately, I know an alternative, so let's go and take a look. For proper big drops, you're gonna need a proper strong bike for doing it. Whilst cross-country bikes and things are strong nowadays, they're just not made for these things. Some brands will even give you a category for what the bike's designed for. Canyon give this a category 5. This is the Torque, so the big 170mm bike. This is a mullet version with 27.5 rear, 29 front. And this is a bike built for doing these big, strong drops. On a cross-country bike, maybe you could do these things, but the forces going through the bike, even if you land it right, are so big that you do risk failure of frames and wheels, things like that, and that could be really bad news. Good strong wheels and some of the downhill or enduro casing tyres are a really good idea as well, with really good tyre pressure. So I'm running them hard today, like 28 PSI. Because if you burp a tyre as well, especially on the front, if it was a bit windy, you got a bit sideways there, if you burp a front tyre, it's not going to be good. Also, I'd always wear really solid knee pads for doing this sort of thing and a full face helmet. Now this is big. Arguably, you'd start to call this more of a road gap or a step down because it's a big drop off. You've got a really big landing to get onto and there's a bit of a distance to it. So yeah, maybe not a drop off, but I am dropping quite a way on this. With this, you want to be obviously super comfortable and you want to hit this at the pretty much perfect speed because that's where it will go wrong. On this, yes, I could hop a bit if I get to here and realise I'm looking to the downslope, I'm going too slow. But you want to hit it at the perfect speed and then you kind of really don't need to do anything. The trajectory will get me to the sweet spot and away I go. This place is the Fenasosa Bike Park near Alicante in Spain, and it is a perfect place for pushing your limits. So if you like doing big drop-offs, give us a comment down below. If you like pushing yourself, thumbs up, and might have a little bit of a session.